Winter had wrapped Dehradun in a silver hush. Mist moved like slow breath between the pine trees, swallowing the distant hills and softening the sharp edges of the world. From the second-floor bedroom window, Diya sat with her knees drawn close to her chest, her chin resting lightly on them. The cold from the glass seeped through her thin sweater, but she didn't move. She liked watching winter settle over the neighborhood. It made everything feel suspended, like time itself was hesitant to move. Just beyond the narrow road, a little away from her modest home, stood the house. That house. It was new. Too new. All glass and clean lines, sharp balconies, tall windows framed in dark metal. Even in darkness, it looked expensive. The kind of place that didn't belong to ordinary lives. It didn't blend into the quiet neighborhood of aging cottages and moss-covered roofs. It stood apart, confident, untouched. Diya had always liked it. Sometimes she imagined herself living there, walking down its polished stairs, her footsteps echoing in a wide marble hall. She imagined warm yellow lights glowing behind its large windows, music drifting out, laughter filling empty corners. But the house had always been dark, freshly built, not sold, as far as she knew. No car in the driveway, no curtains moving, no delivery boys ringing the bell, just emptiness. Tonight, however, a light flickered on. Diya straightened instantly. It was on the second floor. A soft golden glow filled one of the large windows. Not harsh, not white, warm, alive. Her heart gave a small, involuntary jump. Someone was inside. Her brows furrowed. That wasn't possible. She would have known if someone moved in. The colony aunties noticed everything. A new car, a new gate, even new curtains. But she hadn't heard anything. She leaned closer to the window, pressing her palm lightly against the cold glass. And then, a shadow. It moved slowly across the illuminated curtain. A figure, slender, tall, the outline unmistakable. A woman. Diya held her breath without realizing it. The shadow paused near the window as if looking out. For a fleeting second, Diya felt a strange sensation, as though the woman was aware of her gaze. The mist thickened outside, swirling around the modern house like a secret trying to conceal itself. The shadow shifted again, and then, darkness. The light went off abruptly. The house returned to its usual lifeless state, as if nothing had happened at all. Diya blinked. Had she imagined it? No, she was certain. She stayed there for several seconds more, waiting, watching, expecting the light to return. It didn't. The pine trees swayed faintly. A dog barked somewhere far away. The world resumed its winter silence. Finally, Diya pulled away from the window. The room suddenly felt colder than before. She slipped under her blanket and turned toward the wall, trying to convince herself it wasn't a big deal. Maybe someone bought it quietly. Maybe the paperwork just finished. Maybe. But why no moving trucks? No noise? No sign? Her eyes slowly closed, but sleep didn't come easily. Behind her eyelids, she kept seeing that shadow. A woman. Standing alone in a house that was supposed to be empty, curiosity began as a tiny spark, barely noticeable. But as the winter night deepened over Dehradun, that spark grew quietly inside her. Who was she? Morning sunlight entered softly through the kitchen window, pale and wintry over Dehradun. The mist had lifted a little, leaving behind a clean chill in the air. Diya woke later than usual. For a few seconds she lay still, staring at the ceiling, the memory of last night rushing back with startling clarity. The golden light, the shadow, the woman. It wasn't a dream. She pushed the blanket aside and walked to the dining area. Her mother, Veena, was already there, moving with quiet efficiency. The clinking of crockery, the faint hiss of butter meeting a hot pan, the smell of coffee, everything felt normal. Comforting. Bread, butter, eggs, coffee. A simple breakfast, as always. Veena placed the plates on the table and looked up just as Diya pulled out her chair. She paused. "Why do you look like you've seen a ghost?" Veena asked, narrowing her eyes slightly. Diya quickly looked down at her plate. "Nothing, Ma. Didn't sleep properly." Before Veena could respond, the front gate creaked. Both of them froze for a fraction of a second. Then came the unmistakable voice. "Veena, are you home?" Neelamonti. The unofficial surveillance system of the colony. Without waiting for an invitation, she entered with dramatic familiarity, her shawl wrapped tightly around her shoulders, eyes already scanning for information to collect and distribute. She sat down at the table as if it were her own. "Are, what a cold morning," she announced, rubbing her hands together. "Give me coffee also, Veena." Vina gave Diya a brief look, half amusement, half resignation, and poured an extra cup. Neelam leaned forward conspiratorially. You know, Vina, that house up the hillside. Diya's fingers tightened slightly around her fork. That big modern one? Vina asked casually. Yes, that one only. It's sold. Diya's head snapped up. Neelam's eyes gleamed. She enjoyed this. Tomorrow evening, the new owner moved in. I saw her with my own eyes. Young girl. Very young. Maybe just 22. Diya felt her pulse begin to rise. Alone? Vina asked, surprised. Alone, Neelam confirmed dramatically. And very rich, obviously. You know how costly that house is? I spoke to the broker. Just casually, you know. She adjusted her shawl proudly. He said she bought it herself. Diya's breath slowed. Bought it, herself. From where? Vina asked. From Kolkata, Neelam said, lowering her voice as if revealing classified information. Bengali girl. The word struck Diya strangely, familiar, warm, a connection she didn't expect. And her name? Vina asked. Neelam smiled. Nisha. The spoon slipped slightly from Diya's fingers, clinking softly against the plate. Her heart jumped. Nisha. Last night's shadow suddenly had a name. A face she hadn't seen. A presence she had felt. Neelam continued speaking, about money, about how bold girls are nowadays, about how times have changed, but her voice became distant noise in Diya's ears. Nisha, 22, from Kolkata, alone in that large house, the same room, the same second floor, the golden light. Diya swallowed slowly, trying to steady herself, so she hadn't imagined it. The house wasn't empty anymore, and for reasons she couldn't explain, even to herself, the name echoed inside her mind long after Neelam Auntie finished her coffee. Nisha. By evening, the mist had returned. It rolled down the hillside in pale waves, wrapping the colony in a quiet, watchful silence. The pine trees stood still like witnesses. Then, sirens. Not loud, not dramatic, but unmistakable. 2 police vehicles stopped outside the modern house up the hill. Within seconds, curtains shifted in half the colony. Doors opened, and naturally the aunties assembled at a respectable distance, which in reality meant close enough to observe every blink. Neelam Auntie stood at the front like a field commander. What did I tell you? One auntie whispered. Living alone, young girl, big house, something is wrong only. I heard these rich people do illegal business, another added confidently. Maybe drugs, someone suggested, or black money, or political connection, or secret marriage. Speculation grew wilder with every breath. From her bedroom window, Diya watched the scene unfold. Her heart thudded, not in fear, but in anticipation. Was Nisha in trouble? The police officers stepped out calmly. No urgency, no weapons drawn, just formal. Still, the gossip machine had already declared 3 possible crimes and 2 scandals. After nearly 20 minutes, the officers emerged from the house. No handcuffs, no tension, no Nisha. That was the strange part. She didn't come out. Neelam Auntie adjusted her shawl, inhaled deeply, and marched forward with the confidence of someone representing public curiosity. The other aunties followed like backup dancers. Neelam began sweetly. What happened? Everything okay? The officer looked mildly confused. Yes, everything is fine. Then why police? Another auntie jumped in. We came to meet Madam. Madam? Neelam blinked. Yes, he replied matter-of-factly. Nisha Sen. The name passed through the small crowd like an electric current. Oh, she is employee? Neelam asked carefully. The officer almost smiled. No, she is not an employee. Then? She's more like a crime expert, consulting detective. Very brilliant. She assists government agencies and sometimes even the Central Bureau of Investigation on high-profile cases. The aunties froze. CBI? Someone whispered dramatically. Another officer added casually, Didn't you read the newspapers last month? She helped solve that political murder case in Kolkata. Big case. Sensitive. We just came to thank her officially. Silence. Absolute silence. Political. Murder? Yes. Very sharp mind. Government is grateful, the officer said before nodding politely and stepping into the vehicle. The cars drove away. And just like that, the colony returned to its usual stillness. For 3 seconds. Then, at such a young age? Crime expert? She looks hardly 22. These Bengali girls nowadays, so intelligent. The gossip restarted, this time with awe instead of suspicion. But Diya wasn't listening. From her window, her eyes remained fixed on the second-floor window of the house. The curtains were drawn. No light. No movement. Crime expert. Consulting detective. CBI. Political murder case. The mysterious shadow now had layers: depth, danger, brilliance. And yet, Diya had not seen her face. Not once. All the noise of the colony faded in her mind. She didn't care about political murder cases. She didn't care about government praise. She didn't care about aunties changing their opinions within minutes. She just wanted one thing: a glimpse. Just one glimpse of Nisha Sen. Few days passed, and the colony's curiosity only deepened. Milk deliveries slowed near the hill. Walks became longer. Conversations somehow always circled back to one name: Nisha Sen. That evening, Diya was at a cafe near her college, half listening to her friends argue about internal exams and attendance percentages. Economics paper will be brutal. No yar, statistics is worse. Did you complete the assignment? Their voices blended into harmless noise. Diya stirred her coffee absent-mindedly. Her mind wasn't on exams. It was on a second-floor window, on golden light, on a name. By the time she left, the sky was already bruised purple. The sun had slipped behind the hills of Dehradun, leaving only a dim orange line at the horizon. The streets were thinner now, shops shutting, scooters passing occasionally. Diya adjusted her bag on her shoulder and walked faster. That was when she noticed them. A group of men ahead. Tourists? Probably. Loud. Staggering. The smell of alcohol drifted even from a distance. She lowered her gaze and tried to pass quietly. One of them stepped sideways, blocking her path. "Hey," he slurred. Her heartbeat quickened. "I need to go," she said softly, attempting to move around. Another one laughed. "Where's the hurry?" Tension tightened in the air like a pulled string. She turned to leave the other way. A hand grabbed her bag strap and yanked. The bag was pulled off her shoulder and thrown aside. "Please," she said, voice trembling now. Another hand caught her wrist. They began dragging her toward the darker side of the road. Her mind froze. Her body resisted, but fear stiffened her movements. And then a sharp, cracking sound split the air. Not loud, but sickening. One of the men screamed. Diya turned. A figure stood behind them. All black. Long coat moving slightly in the evening wind. The man whose wrist had held Diya was now on his knees, clutching his arm at an unnatural angle. Before the others could react, the figure moved. Precise. Controlled. One of the men rushed forward. A swift twist, another crack, he collapsed. Another swung wildly. A clean, calculated strike to the jaw. The sound of impact was dull and final. The way she moved, it wasn't reckless. It wasn't chaotic. It was trained, measured, efficient. Within seconds, the remaining men stumbled back, panic replacing intoxicated arrogance. They ran. Silence returned to the street, broken only by the groaning of the two injured men. The woman turned toward Diya, and for the first time, Diya saw her. The fading sunset caught her face. She was young, maybe her age, maybe a little older. Her black coat framed her like a shadow carved into shape, and her eyes, hazel, but not soft brown. Hazel with faint gold flecks that caught the last strands of sunlight. Sharp, observant, steady. For a moment, Diya forgot how to breathe. "Are you okay?" the woman asked. Her voice was calm, low, controlled. "Yes," Diya managed. A brief nod. "Let's go." She stepped closer and took Diya's hand. Her grip was firm, but not rough, strangely familiar, as if she had held it before. They walked in silence. The cold evening air pressed against them, but Diya barely felt it. Her heart was louder than her footsteps. When they reached her gate, the woman released her hand and turned to leave. Half Diya's courage gathered at the last second. "Wait," the woman paused. "What's your name?" For a fraction of a second, something unreadable passed through those hazel eyes. She turned fully this time. The streetlight above flickered on, casting a pale glow over her face. Nisha. The name landed differently now. Not as gossip, not as a shadow behind a curtain, but as the girl who broke bones without hesitation. As the girl who appeared out of nowhere. As the girl with gold in her eyes. Nisha Sen. And this was the first time Dad truly saw her.